audio and rolling the desktop audio. Let's get this thing started. Hello, and welcome everyone. Another episode of Pathfinder with our friends here, the Fallen, who have ascended from the plane of Dis, or the city of Dis in Hell, and now find themselves on the Avernal Plains. We're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. A lot of extra bullshit on top of it. There's extra class, the dual class, free archetype. A lot of homebrew shit. And the world we're playing in is extremely custom. We've been putting it together for the last 8-ish years. So if you have questions, click shit down below. Hit us up later. Find us on all the clicky bits down below, and we will talk nerdy to you as much as you want. That being said, last episode, very big. I'll give the recap since I didn't harp on you guys. Do it. But traversing the Iron Tower of Dispater's realm, finding it completely devoid of pretty much all life until they went down below into the the bowels of this tower, where it was just a gigantic smelting and mining operation. Making their way through some treacherous traps, digging their way around, they eventually got to a confrontation between them and a pit fiend, who they skillfully convinced through some very impressive rolls that they indeed were on some sort of great holy mission, and convinced him to aid them in that, turning their acolyte followers who had come with them into devils themselves. What will happen there? We don't know yet. We'll see what happens with that. But they followed them out. They eventually made their way to a room where Dispater was playing a chess game with the Handmaiden. There they learned a few things, and how this entire setup of them being put together specifically has been all a gambit of the Dragon Queen herself, Tiamat. Knowing that they are breaking some rules and definitely breaking through some boundaries, there was hints that some great calamity was going to follow, or some great thing that would draw the ire of the Lord of Hell. Regaining their memories, regaining their things, their composure, they make their way to Avernus, where they meet, finally, the Dragon Queen Tiamat, who informs them of, yes, that everything Dispater said was true, that they are on some sort of pilgrimage, or sort of a quest to kind of break something, is what she made it sound like. You guys will have to figure out more of that. But she did say you would be breaking 3 cosmic rules, which she named in great detail for you. And if you've been paying attention in our little chat, some of those things that she said have some story background added to them. You dig deep. But with that being said, she gifted you all with items that would help you on her way. Nick's character, Horace, was given a blade from one of the souls that's attached to him, or is part of him at this point. A frost blade. It's some cool fucking stuff. If you ever played WoW, think of Death Knight. Very, very Frostmourne kind of stuff. Ondol got a pair of axes that work in conjunction with both rangers and fighters, helping them fight at both range and melee, but with hand axes, which is his preferred style. And Voth got a dagger crafted from one of the teeth of one of the dragon people that he has learned Tiamat is trying to resurrect. Ancient flights that were destroyed or ostracized long ago, she wants back. And that's where we'll pick up. They find themselves in the Court of the Dragon, this treacherous place, a den in hell where all manner of evil creatures come to venerate the Dragon Mother. So, with that being said, you guys find yourselves free-ish to roam. Remember, you are still in hell, and these are still bad creatures. So, they might not shit where they eat, but they won't hesitate to hurt somebody if they are found to be weak. Yeah, going from there, I'll go ahead and let you guys take the reins. Tell me what you're doing and what you plan on trying to accomplish while you're here. And yeah, you guys just had everybody leave. You are in the grand parlor room of the Red Tower, where there is food laid out before you, your gear is with you, and every manner of stuff you could want exists. So, that being said, take it away. What do you do?
Are there attendants in the room?
There are some, yes. There are um, dragon-like creatures, more um, devil than dragon, but dragonoid shapes, winged creatures, and they seem to have base weapons, gear, armor, and things like that. But they seem to have been the ones who are cleaning or guarding or bringing food or moving about.
As we're kind of eating, I'd just kind of look towards one of them, and I'd be like, she said that we'd be treated as guests. Is there a location which we're allowed to sleep and a duration which we're allowed to stay?
The creature looks at you, and in really bad common. Like he knows it, but he just doesn't use it a lot. Speaks out and says, "You are guests. You may stay in the guest quarters. Each one of the towers has guest quarters at the bottom floor. There are not many rooms, but whatever's open and has no one in, you're free to stay in." He says, "You can stay as long as you'd like until she tells us otherwise, or someone ends you."
Ends me, you say. So violence is permitted here. Is there any rules for it, or is it just at will?
You reap what you sow. Get the feeling it's very much the strong stay strong for reasons,
Hmm.
and those people who are waiting and serving do so because they want to, not because they have to. Well, maybe not all of them, but it's very much they want to be here and they want to serve Queen or her attendants.
I'll just kind of look at you, Horace, and be like, well, today was a lot more than I expected. I know at least I have many things I need to reflect on.
I agree. I think I wasn't expecting this of all things. It's been a long day.
Yeah, Tiamat was a thing of legend. To actually meet her is something completely different.
You can see at
I
that
have my own
comment
stories.
there are creatures that are around that they all look at you guys as you're talking. And as you mentioned, she's a thing of legend. There's a haughtiness about them, like, of course she is. But they go about their business.
So, I guess the real question is, now that we're out of this, what's our goal? Our goal was to get out of this.
Apparently we're part of some master plan that we're unaware of, and how much of that is whether we're stumbling forth in the right direction or whether we're being guided that way is remains to be seen. And
Ondol.
I, at
True.
least.
But
No, go ahead, Andol.
say Ondol kind of speaks up and he's like, "I too have a lot to reflect on. But I do think we should stick together. There's a reason we're all here. You all fought well. We all are connected."
Agreed. At the very least, you two I could expect not to have a knife to my throat, which seems to be something very rare around these parts.
It's
Well, at least as I kind of reflect back to Slaw literally fucking stabbing him in the back, well, at least not unconsensually. I guess one of us has been literally stabbed in the back by another, but it, was warranted. Thanks again for that, by the way.
There's a nod. I'll go. I'm not one for books and things like that, and there's a lot I need to take in. I'll go down and secure a room for us. I think we should only take one. We shouldn't be too greedy.
That sounds like a good idea, especially if there's a room that could accommodate all of us.
He nods and he says, "I'll be down there, and I will." He says he will just take a little white cloth and tie it on the door for the one that's ours.
Fair enough. Thank you.
See you down there.
And he gets up, takes some food and a thing of some carafe of some liquid and takes it with him. Goes down. Toting the 2 new axes, he has the boxes tied on top of his little pack, which you guys, a lot of your gear is torn to shreds, fucked up, soaked to the bone, and then dried a couple 100 times by magic and what fires you could make. So the thread, they're starting to get threadbare and things like that. Now, your little pimp suit, though, Voth, is a little bit better for wear, but it is incredibly gaudy. So you trade the I have worn equipment or worn looking gear for I have some slightly enchanted gear that is a little gaudy. So
I might stick out a bit in a place where it might not be the best to stick out.
that's very true. You definitely will.
It's great to peacock when you're immortal, but it's not so great when things can just eat you.
That's fucking true. Okay, so if we gotta collect some information, that's no big deal.
I'll look to one of the attendants and be like, does Tiamat have some form of exchange, a hub or a way to, get new equipment?
He looks and says, "There's a quartermaster at the keep." Says, "Most of the younglings and those who acquire things they don't need down here trade it there for gold and baubles, but I'm sure you could trade gold and baubles for those things. That most of us don't need much. We're appointed the things we are. Half of us barely need to eat," says. "But the dragons down here definitely." Yeah.
I think we could definitely at least use some new clothes.
I agree. We don't really have much to trade anymore, though.
There's lots of things we could trade. Who knows? Maybe they'll take information.
Well, I'm with you. Let's go find out.
Okay. So making your way towards the keep's quartermaster area. Okay, so you exit the tower, passing through where you came at before. And as you do that, you kind of push out past some people. There are definitely eyes watching you. Now that you aren't walking with 2 incredibly powerful dragons, one being a god, for all intents and purposes, there is definitely a different air around people. It's almost like predator testing. Just seeing how you react to them looking. Knowing that you're being watched. So you definitely feel like you're almost hunted in some turns. There are only 2 people who actually talk to you on your way there. 2 white Abishai, which are those draconic looking devils. They have fairly nice looking gear. And they look they stop what they're doing as you guys are walking towards this place, and you can just hear in your heads. They have telepathy. Don't need to do much more than to think at you. They go, "Where do they think they're going?" And the other voice says, "Probably to acquire gear." And then the other one replies, "It'll be good when we pull it back off of them. We'll know how much they got. Or we'll know how much it's worth." And they both chuckle and walk away. Literally just playing with you like your cat. Like they're cats with mice. But, yeah.
So I know a bit about dragons and the society of it and stuff like that. So I know that we'd be more equivalent to whelps than obviously your adult or an ancient dragon, and I'm feeling this atmosphere of this testing and stuff like that. I guess what would my stance be, or what would be my expected stance to be if I'm to survive in this type of society? Would it be to try to glare back, or would it be to kind of avert the eyes in this scenario?
Alright, let's get a dragon lore check for that.
Sure.
I would say the DC is probably about a 12 or a 13. That's pretty easy. We get a 27 on that, which is pretty solid.
The crit success on that one.
Critical success. Not only do you know that you should mind your station, you also know that you should have the air of something like you should let them know that you see them, but you need to be subtle about it. You need to give them the reverence of being the bigger dogs, but at the same time, you do not show weakness. You don't bow your head, you don't give them your neck, but at the same time, you allow them their space and let them be the top dog until the time comes where you can strike them down and take their spot.
So you give the nod.
You give them the nod, the move of deference, but at the same time, always have that dagger close. Very politically backstabby. The strong survive here, and it looks like those two definitely are strong, but they're testing the waters.
It's the universal bro speak. When you both pass, you just do the nod and say, "Hey, I acknowledge you're there, and I'm not gonna fight you right now."
This time.
This time. So I, as we're traveling through here, I'm definitely doing that as we're going.
Okay. Like I said, those are the only two that actually do anything outright. Everyone else just gives you that mind your step kind of thing. And eventually you make your way all the way to the keep. This keep is huge. It is massive. And it has all the accoutrements of a knight's like vestige and stuff. There are statues of a large dragonborn style character with heavy plate armor, a shield, a withered hand that is skeletal, and a vicious looking battle axe over his shoulder, draped in finery and bedecked in gold and bronze. There is the words Archon underneath it. There are, prayers to Tiamat etched on the stones above, sigils of magical power placed on the stones and things like that, just for fortifications and enchantments to the keep itself. It looks like this place has been almost like clay that's been fired. As you get close, it's like that kind of like the clay's hand smooth, so there's little divots and things like that. But you can tell it's almost like it's not clay; it's more like obsidian glass. It's like very blasted, charred, blasted material that's just withstood everything. But true to the word, past this little courtyard, off to the left, there is a area where there's a bunch of Abishai, a few smaller dragons and things like that, placing things on a table. Another dragonborn looks at the items, calls out some things in Draconic. Anybody speak Draconic? Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of you do. Then yeah. So most of this will take place in Draconic then. So as long as you speak it and understand it, just that's the common here. So unless I say they're speaking common, it's in Draconic. In Draconic, he's like, yeah, I'll give you about 15 for this. I'll give you 7 for these. And he's like, and this is shit steel. This is going to be melted down and made into ingots. I'm not giving you much more for that because I have to do the work. And then you can hear the Abishai be like, yes, but these are pieces of old. These are antiquities. They're not. He's like, no, they're fucking not. Stop trying to fucking get more out of me than you deserve. I'll give you your gold, now get out. And they both take the gold off the table. There's a big there's like a young green dragon who's kind of has what you can see are some trinkets and baubles and things like that. And he's explaining how he went through an acid fog to acquire these trinkets and baubles, and that he's uniquely qualified. And the Dragonborn says, half of these fucking Devilborn here can walk through acid just fine. And poison. So I don't want to hear your shit. You're going to get this much. And he just starts going off on this dragon. This dragon is bigger than him. Could eat him. Physically could eat him. But there's something about this quartermaster. He just has a twinkle and just an air about him there. He is just not going to take your shit. So he's probably going to give you a fair deal. He does see you two, and he looks quizzically at you two, being of non-draconic origin or appearance, and waits for you to walk to his little stall area, but there's that. There's attendants moving back and forth, taking away gear, adding gold coins to little scales and things like that. You do?
Just a follow-up note. So since both of us speak Draconic, as long as Ondul's not around, we're also both speaking in purely Draconic while we're here. I think that makes sense.
That's
So,
fair.
and I'd say I do have the dragon scales at this point, so
Mhm.
they're not as like, obviously as obvious as a real dragon scales, but I'd at least
Yeah.
show some of my lineage when I'm walking around.
All right, so you're flaunting it then a little bit, be like, I got scales, and trying to be
It's
like that.
it's more of it would just be
outward.
visible. It's more
Okay.
of just a like somebody that's looking at me like it is part of my. I get fire resistance from it, so I am coated by these things. Like,
Got you. Okay.
so I'd kind of approach and I'd just be like, looking to exchange some of my gear at seen where.
The quartermaster looks you up and down. He says, "I've not seen you before. What is your name?"
I go by Voth. And yours?
Durok. Quartermaster. He's like, "Are you mortal?"
So I guess follow-up question: how bad of a thing would I think it is to disclose that to others here?
That, no roll necessary. That is entirely up to you.
Okay.
You know what you know.
Yes. You're new here.
There's a quizzical look on Durok's face as he's like, you want to exchange gear. What do you have?"
I'll kind of show him the gear regalia I'm currently wearing and be like, I managed to acquire this from one of the chef's attendants down in Dis, and it's a bit gaudy. I was looking for something a little bit less conspicuous.
He's like, "No shit, Dis. You escaped Dis?"
Indeed.
You see, he leans over to one of the attendants and he's like, keep an eye on them. He says it in like a older draconic, but you guys understand it. He doesn't know. Like you've been speaking that stuff, but he like says it like that. Hopefully, hoping that you guys don't speak it, but you understand enough. He's like, keep an eye on them, watch them, and the attendant like, yes sir, and he's like,
Now,
oh, go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm a insight check this real quick, or fucking.
Sure.
I hate that it's deception in this, just because it feels so weird.
Mhm.
But do I feel like that's more of a out of curiosity, or out of like these guys are stealing, or they're like thieves, or they're gonna steal, or that kind of a look at them?
With a 20, it's more a defensive maneuver. You think? It seems like he doesn't know what to make of this. And he says, "Sure, we can. We have plenty of gear. Most of these dragon types and the Abishai don't need any gear." He's like, the only people who really use anything like what you and me would wear. And he's like, we get our stuff here. A lot of times we just take this stuff, strip it down, and some of the bigger mages use it to make other things, just bolts of regular cloth, rather than whatever stylized tailor shit this is for the poor saps who wore it before. He's like, so we can custom make things as well, things that might fit you. He's like, most of the pre-made stuff is done for people my size. He's an imposing figure. He's pretty huge. He's like, the half dragons are the other ones who wear stuff, but only half the time. It's like, so what do you need?
I was looking for some loose-fitting robes, something that is decent of quality but doesn't draw the eye.
We can make that happen. He looks over his attendant. He's like, how much you looking to spend?
This does have some basic magic enchantment, and I was wondering if I could exchange it for something of just net the same. I understand this has wear and tear to it, but I imagine with your craft and magics, you might be able to repurpose it into something better.
He's like, well, let me examine them, and I'll tell you what I got.
I just strip right there.
Okay, strip butt naked?
I mean, I've got underwear on.
Okay.
But, I mean,
You take off the clothes, you set them down on the thing, and he takes out a small little like a jeweler's glass thing and starts looking at it. You can see he moves his hands back and forth a bit, cast a very easy spells. You guys know how to read aura and detect magic and things like that. And he's looking at this. He goes, okay. He's like, yeah. We can do an even exchange for the magic in here towards something else. He's like, I don't think I have that magic. It's like, but I have others similar. Not a lot of people
Nice.
come down here. I say people and come down because it's the old way. It's how people would do things. He's like, no one comes here anymore because no one comes here. Everyone goes to Dis. Says only people who've sold their souls or their souls beholden to someone else come here. Says, but we can give you something. So what is the enchantment on the robes or the suit?
It's just standard +1 potency. So
Yeah.
I'm literally just looking for something
So-
less gaudy.
he says, wizard, you're a wizard type caster.
Yeah. Mm.
You want something that has a little bit of protection to it. He says, we definitely have a set of robes that we can do that for. So you can exchange them for any robes or basic armor that you would be able to purchase. So.
Cool.
And he'll swap it out for a 1-to-1.
Sweet.
Simply because he's curious. And he looks at Horace up and down and says, what about you? Your shit looks pretty tossed.
I'll look at my human skin studded leather and I'll be like, this took a while to make. I would like some new clothes. I'll kind of rummage in my bag and pull out the nice 600 GP box that Frostfang came in, and I'll set it on the counter and be like, can we exchange this for clothes plus some monetary gain? Or
What's the box? Okay. Yeah, I can definitely take that.
do you possibly have any type of like a magical container?
Like a bag.
That would be wonderful.
He says, sure. He says, I have all sorts of different bags. What are you looking for? Holding?
I don't know if I can't find that one. I found a spacious pouch. With
Okay.
75 gold. It looks kind of like what I'm looking for. I don't know all the items like it did in 5e.
Yeah. He says, okay.
I think I got the tier 2 version of that one.
Yeah. He says, okay, a bag of holding. I'm just using Archives of Nethys for this. He says, bag of holding. He's like, we have a few of those. We have different sizes. How much are you looking to buy?
I'd like a
Type 1 is 25 bulk. Type 2 is 50 bulk, and Type 3 you couldn't afford.
Right. I'll take a type 2.
So that's half of your gold from the box. And then he says, you've got about, like, workmanship on this box is incredibly fine. It's almost as if, and he looks at the towers towards where he's like, it looks like it's made by someone special. He says, so I'd say you got about 300 left.
I'd kind of rummage through my stuff and be like, do you have magical inks?
Inks?
Yeah. I'll kind of show my really raggedy magical tome.
He's just like, are you looking for something just to write down spells and things like that?
Yes, exactly.
He nods. He's like, yeah, I have that kind of thing. He's like,
Cool.
sure. He's like, um, usually the mages here just use normal ink or blood or something. But he's like, you want magical ink? What do you want it to do?
I have no idea. Is there actual magical ink?
Yeah, there's Lover's Ink, Ghost Ink, Moonlit Ink, Forgetful Ink, Wildwood Ink, Greater.
I didn't expect to get this far.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, yeah,
There's a lot in Pathfinder. It's basically, like, if you're just looking for, like, the way we used to handle it in D&D, where it's like, I paid 150 gold for magical shit, you can just take that and be like, this is 100 and something gold towards crafting scrolls or scribing spells and stuff like that. That works fine.
Okay.
Other than that, if you want to write a spell in the spell book, it's ink and a book. That's it.
Okay. Cool.
If you want anything special, the book itself and the ink can be all sorts of enchanted. So that is entirely up to you.
No, I'll just go with the equivalent of I want ink to make spells. And I do the same for alchemical items, I guess.
How much and how much?
So let's just split the difference. So we'll do 150 each.
You have 150 gold worth of alchemical reagents, and you have 150 gold worth of magical scribing equipment, which will allow you to basically you can put that towards any sort of scribed scroll or anything like that that you come across.
Cool.
Basically, he's gonna give you very nice equipment, but it's not like a writing set or anything like that. Like you would want to get that specifically.
Right. Okay, I'll add that to my sheet.
Okay.
And I pick up the clothes. I'm not gonna strip there because I'm battle ready. So
Yeah, he just gives you their gray, cloth, like linen clothes.
that's
Pretty
fine.
straightforward. Adventurer's clothes, whatever you would wear. They're sturdy and put together well, reinforced and stitched, have normal pockets and things like that. Just a straight gray color. Seems like that's the under color of most of the knights and things here is a gray. With like red armor, red trim, red livery. But continue.
Cool.
Those robes, were those readily available, or is that something they're tailoring now?
They're tailoring them to you, but they're it looks like anybody who's a castery type that has like adventuring robes or something like that has very similar style cut and color and things like that. You can see a lot of people have gray under robes, like that's what you're getting, and they put like a fancy color over top or whatever, like something to kind of, just have some flair. But for the most part, those that are wearing it it's very similar styles and things. Open my door.
Wait. I would ask him, do you also deal in things like books and knowledge, or is there another place here that would be better suited for it?
I have blank books, and I know things. If you want to pay me for those things, I can give them to you. Other than that, no. He's like, there's plenty of people who know a lot of things here. There's plenty of dragons who have ancient memories that can inform you on stuff. Although I will tell you, that'll come at a price. Alternately, if you've been given free reign of the place and you were allowed 5 towers, each one has a small library. It could be of use. He says small library, but you guys have been in there. It's a huge fucking library, so...
Appreciated. Thank you.
Tell me, what is dislike?
It sucks. It's
We
rainy.
know. Rainy. Really?
As you start talking, I'm just gonna kind of look towards you a little bit, and not kind of give you that like aggressive like shh, but just more of like the it's a very interesting place. What would the knowledge be worth to you?
He says, well, the two of you coming up here with shit clothes, looking for better fitting things. Um, he looks at the fucking sword you have, Nick, and he's like, you definitely have some gear on you. He's like, you're probably gonna want something to keep you alive down here. I have some items that might help. Depends on how much you want to tell me. But I appreciate the candor. It's not often we get any sort of status reports from that place. It's an impenetrable fortress. Not that any of us really want to get in, but on the off chance we have to, any information is better than no information. If I bring it to my boss, looks good for me, which in turn looks good for you.
That's more than acceptable. What do you wish to know? The demeanor, names, places? We have traveled for many days there, many weeks.
He whispers something to the attendant, and the attendant goes, and he's like, you keep talking, and I'll keep adding stuff to this cart. And he takes out a quill from all half of the other writing shit that you just dug into, and he starts fucking writing all the details down that you want to tell him. I will say you're going to roleplay this whole thing out, so whatever you tell him will determine the things you get.
So for today, I will go ahead and I will tell him to, let's start with day one. Souls, when they arrive there, there's this creeping vine that goes through the place, and these sacs that these souls go into and hatch into new bodies.
Nods and he starts writing down. He asks you to describe, what do you know of that stuff? Like, he's gonna get detailed. Like, if you're trying to break this apart over multiple days.
Yeah, so basically what I'm gonna turn this into is like a, hey, I'm gonna come by every day and we're gonna shoot the shit a little bit and get like a we're gonna form a little bit of a relationship here, a little bit of a bond.
He nods.
So I'm not gonna give him the whole thing first day.
So he's looking at your gear and he says, I take it there's this severe lack of good equipment down there. He says, and you two look like you're trying to gear up for something big. He's like, you want to start giving me info? I'll start giving you things I think would be good. And he's like, you have the bags. He's like, and those are great, but those can be pierced. It'd be better to place them in another container. He sets down 2 good adventure, like good naps, like rucksack style bags. He sets them down and he takes 2 crowbars and he puts them right next to him. He says, backup weapon, prying, useful, especially here. There's a lot of places that large creatures put large stones in front of. Those will help move it. For now.
I'll give him a good, like, that firm, great deal kind of shake with him, and I'll be like, as I go back to my notes to look for my fucking name already, thank you, Duroc. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
He nods and he says, well, you come by here and you give me more info, I'll have additional items for you.
That's good to me.
Right. And so, stats for backpack. A backpack holds 4 bulk of items, and the first 2 bulk of these items don't count against your bulk limits. If you're carrying or stowing the pack, rather than weighing it on your back, its bulk is light instead of negligible. So, but now instead of just having a little skin sack, you actually have a legit backpack, which allows you to carry bulk and negate a lot of stuff. Which you can put your bags of holding inside there. People won't notice you walking around with bags of holding as well. So, could be used however you want to do it.
I'll kind of look to you and be like, I think we should head back to the room for a bit and then maybe check out the libraries a bit later. Want to see what we're dealing with.